On this Monday night, Canada gets an F for food security. The new report card finds more families are turning to food banks. The message for governments.
People can't budget money they don't have.
New security concerns as Chinese-made electric vehicles roll into Canada.
All we're doing is just making this worse for us down the road.
How a U.S. ban could hit the brakes on Canadian drivers. Not cricket. The sport's international governing body suspends Canada's membership. What it means for athletes. Plus, growing the beautiful game.
All of us want to have a purpose in life.
The Edmonton man turning his hockey-crazed city into Canada's soccer hub.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. A new report reveals a growing number of Canadian workers and families are now turning to food banks. In its annual poverty report card, Food Banks Canada gave most provinces and territories a failing grade on providing supports to cope with the rising cost of living. Take a look. Manitoba and Quebec were the only provinces to even earn a C grade, while New Brunswick scored the worst. The report's authors are now calling for improvements to employment insurance and social assistance. Heidi Petracek has our top story tonight.
More working Canadians are coming through the doors of food banks.
It's not unusual, especially in the last 2 years, for working families, families with two working parents, to have to make the decision, am I going to pay my rent this month or am I going to buy groceries?
And so it's not a budgeting issue. People can't budget money they don't have.
Food Banks Canada says the country's overall situation improved from a D in 2025 to a D+, but breaking it down, there's work to do. It gave a D for how acutely poverty is being felt. Lack of progress on poverty and unemployment garnered an F. Poor standard of living brought in a B-, and legislative progress to ease the burden remained a steady C.
What's the 914 here? Oh,
the
milk.
Milk. Well, in survival mode. Like once you just try to struggle and pay the bills, there's no extra.
The report says Canadian households are spending an average of 56% of their income on fixed expenses, but that doesn't include housing. If you factor in housing, those with the lowest incomes are spending more than 100% of what they make on essentials.
Someone on OW, Ontario Works, what we used to call welfare in this province, gets about $733 a month. You could triple that and it would still be below the poverty line.
The report acknowledges federal measures like the grocery and essentials benefit help, but it's not enough.
We need governments to make policy decisions so that people are able to afford their lives.
It wants provinces to raise social assistance rates and Ottawa to revamp EI to catch the working Canadians falling through its cracks.
Our federal and provincial programs aren't doing enough to keep even to lift people out of poverty, much less boost them above the line.
Changes those on the front lines say would make a world of difference at their doors. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia.
Well, it was another turbulent day in negotiations to end the Iran war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's state media announced earlier that Tehran was suspending peace talks, blaming Israel's expanding assault in Lebanon. In response, U.S. President Trump said he picked up the phone and spoke with Israel's prime minister and with Hezbollah, and then claimed the two sides had agreed to stop fighting. Trump also insisted that the talks with Iran are continuing at what he called a rapid pace. But the volatility sent oil prices climbing again today. Redmond Shannon reports.
Thousands flee southern Beirut after Israel's latest warning of an imminent attack on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon's capital. This is the third time we've been displaced, says this man, originally from the mostly evacuated south of the country. Those still in southern cities like Tyre are under regular Israeli bombardment, including in this hospital. Israel is making further advances into southern Lebanon, including the weekend seizure of this strategic hilltop. Hezbollah released this video showing it apparently targeting Israeli soldiers at Beaufort Castle. And Iranian state TV warned residents of northern Israel of more cross-border Hezbollah rocket attacks unless Israel pulls back. Another Iranian outlet reported that Iran's war with the US could resume and even expand to new fronts, including in the Red Sea. Iran's foreign ministry repeated that a ceasefire in Lebanon is inseparable from any deal to end the US-Iran war. Add to all that another exchange of missiles between the US and Iran over the weekend, and oil prices crept up again Monday. Before US President Donald Trump took to social media saying he spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and with Hezbollah via intermediaries. He said Israeli troops have already been turned back from heading toward Beirut and that Hezbollah agreed that all shooting will stop. Just hours before, Trump told his domestic critics to sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. If these intertwined conflicts are to end, agreements are needed involving Iran, the US, Israel, Lebanon and Hezbollah. And each of them has their own shifting goals and priorities. Jeff?
Redmond Shannon in London. Thank you, Red. The Prime Minister has just provided an update on his government's plans to tackle anti-Semitism. It follows a series of recent violent attacks targeting Jewish communities, including 2 drive-by shootings in Toronto. Gillian Piper reports from Ottawa.
That is being tested today by the scourge of anti-Semitism.
It's a stark acknowledgement of a growing problem.
Across our country, anti-Semitism has surged to levels not seen in the post-war period.
In 2024, there were 1,342 religious hate crimes in Canada. 68% of those targeted Jewish people.
In reality, this
To help combat that, Mark Carney promoting an advisory council that he first announced in February.
The council has a clear mission to combat racism and hate in all their forms.
Chaired by Canadian Identity and Culture Minister Mark Miller, the council is tasked with assessing the scope of anti-Semitism across Canada, improving hate crime data collection, and evaluating government action against hate.
The Prime Minister coming here today acknowledging that not enough has been done to this point to stem the tide of anti-Semitism was an important message.
There has been a series of recent anti-Semitic incidents across the country. Less than a month ago, Toronto police charged an 18-year-old for allegedly shooting an imitation firearm at 2 separate groups of visible Jewish community members. 1 person sustained minor injuries. But even before carrying out the mandate, the council has already generated controversy for replacing the previous federal government's separate offices dedicated to combating Islamophobia and anti-Semitism.
We are concerned that striking a council and creating another mechanism of government to evaluate the problem doesn't go far enough.
The new advisory body also not enough for the Conservative leader, who blames the recent rise in anti-Semitism on the Liberals' crime approach.
Their soft on crime policies allow violent anti-Semites to be released back onto the streets to terrorize Jewish communities.
The number of police-reported hate crimes against Jewish Canadians in 2025 has not been released yet, Jeff. Statistics Canada says that data will be published this summer.
Gillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Gillian. Turning to breaking news from northern Saskatchewan now, where RCMP are warning of an active shooter situation in Pelican Narrows. That community is about 400 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon. Residents there are being asked to find a safe location and lock their doors. RCMP say they're looking for a man in all black clothing, wearing a face covering and moving on foot. A 3-year-old girl is fighting for her life in a Montreal hospital tonight after the bouncy castle that she was playing in was swept away in a storm. It happened Sunday afternoon during an outdoor church festival. Sudden strong winds picked up the bouncy castle and then threw it several meters. 7 adults and 3 other children were also injured. The World Cup kicks off next week, and Toronto police are now cracking down on fake FIFA jerseys. Investigators just arrested 2 suspects in what they're calling the largest seizure of counterfeit soccer jerseys in Canadian history. Police say they received a tip last month, which led them to a Mississauga warehouse where they found the fraudulent merch, including more than 16,000 fake jerseys and 2 counterfeit World Cup trophies, with a total estimated value of more than $3.5 million. Those suspects are now facing fraud charges. Cricket is one of the fastest growing sports in Canada, but its national governing body is now in serious trouble. Cricket Canada has been suspended by the International Cricket Council following allegations of financial mismanagement, corruption, and intimidation. Our Mike Armstrong is following that story for us tonight. Mike.
Well, Jeff, the statement from the International Cricket Council doesn't say exactly why Canada is being suspended. The wording is rather broad. It says Cricket Canada's membership is being suspended immediately due to, quote, serious breaches of its membership obligations. Now, trouble's been brewing for months at Cricket Canada. There was controversy in 2025 over the appointment of a new CEO. The rules weren't followed. Then there was more controversy when that CEO was fired for not disclosing prior criminal charges. In March, the ICC froze its funding at Cricket Canada, pulling about $3.6 million, close to two-thirds of its entire budget. Reports cited concerns about governance and financial oversight. Now, in the months since, the organization's reputation has only taken bigger hits. A CBC documentary detailed allegations of corruption, intimidation, and even match manipulation involving the national team.
Definitely there is something going wrong, like something not right.
Cricket analyst Deevish Shankar says reports of organized crime being involved may have been the last straw for the ICC.
It really made the Cricket Canada cause the suspension very fast. I think ICC did not take it lightly.
As for what the suspension means, Canadian teams can still compete internationally, but they'll be administered directly by the ICC, and Cricket Canada can still access some of the funding, but only with ICC oversight. Well, in this statement sent to Global News, Cricket Canada says the suspension was unexpected and that it has sent the ICC a detailed action plan of the corrective measures it's taking. Jeff?
Mike Armstrong in Montreal. Thanks, Mike. Canada's postal workers have just voted overwhelmingly to accept a new contract. The union says more than 85% of its 55,000 members voted in favor of the 5-year deal. It includes wage increases of 6.5%. The agreement will also allow Canada Post to scale back home delivery and close post offices in some communities. The federal government has ordered an audit of the Indigenous Languages Office. It comes after several former employees reportedly complained that funds were being misspent. The review is expected to look into a $10 million conference that was hosted in Ottawa last year. Our Melissa Ridgen has been digging into how the money is being spent. Melissa.
Jeff, the Office of the Commissioner of Indigenous Languages has been around for 5 years with a mandate to prevent the loss of about 70 Indigenous languages in Canada, but former staff say that wasn't happening. What did happen? A 4-day Indigenous Languages Summit in Ottawa last year that cost $10 million, almost the entire annual operating budget of the Languages Office. Called Waves 2025, the Indigenous Languages Office reportedly paid for flights, hotels, and meals for many of the 2,000 people who attended from 20 countries. The event featured entertainment, keynote speakers, and panelists, but critics say it did nothing to support grassroots language revitalization in Canadian communities. In a statement, Commissioner Ronald Ignace said the organization operates with transparency, accountability, and integrity, but faced challenges like many new organizations with complex mandates and high expectations. He says annual audits showed fiscal discipline and balanced budgets. Ignace's term as commissioner ends next month. He said he's proud of the work done. Canadian Heritage didn't respond to questions about the audit. The Indigenous Languages Commission was created as a call to action by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to help communities revive languages that were endangered by residential schools and colonization. In the 5 years since the commission has operated, though, it's not offered any evidence that any languages are growing because of its work. Jeff.
Melissa Ridgen in Winnipeg. Thanks, Melissa. New Chinese-made electric vehicles are about to hit the road here in Canada. Coming up, why an internal government memo is raising security concerns for drivers. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will travel to Washington tomorrow to meet with his American counterpart. The visit aiming to kickstart trade talks, which have been stalled since last year, and time is running out. A mandatory review of CUSMA, Canada's free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, is set to begin on July the 1st. The first shipment of Chinese-made electric vehicles has just arrived here in Canada. It follows an arrangement struck by Prime Minister Mark Carney back in January that allows up to 49,000 Chinese EVs to be imported each year. But as they hit the market, a leaked government memo is warning about the potential security risks. Taria Isri reports on concerns that drivers' data could wind up in the wrong hands.
Chinese EVs are rolling into Canadian ports and reopening a debate about security.
All we're doing is just making this worse for us down the road.
The first of 50,000 Chinese EVs have arrived at a reduced tariff rate. In exchange, China lowered its punishing levies on Canadian canola and other products. It's all part of Ottawa's rapprochement with Beijing.
In this world, yes, it's the second largest economy, but you need to have a dialogue with China.
A memo obtained by the Canadian press warns opening the auto market could amplify the presence of high-risk vendors. It says connected vehicles collect significant amounts of data on Canadians, which can have intelligence value. Ontario's premier, seeking to protect his province's auto sector, has slammed the deal.
I think I've been very clear how I feel about bringing in Chinese spy vehicles.
The memo also warns that under China's national security laws, the PRC could compel manufacturers to hand over information.
The potential eyes and ears of the PRC.
This former intelligence officer testified before Parliament about the risks and warns Canada is sending mixed signals to consumers considering buying these cheaper alternatives.
I think there's been a bit of an underlying lack of talking about the issues surrounding this technology and how it could be used against Canadian interests.
In the United States, Democratic senators from Michigan, the heart of the U.S. auto industry, are leading a bipartisan effort to tighten a crackdown on Chinese EVs. If the U.S. were to ban Chinese connected vehicles from entry, the impact would also be felt here. Canadians driving those cars could be turned away at the border if they're classified as prohibited. Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
Crushing it on the clay. Still ahead, a Canadian tennis star advances at the French Open as another superstar eyes a surprise comeback. Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime is playing some terrific tennis in Paris. He's now advanced into the quarterfinals of the French Open, becoming the first Canadian man to reach the quarters of all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. He's also now guaranteed to reach a new career-high ranking of at least 4th in the world. His next match is Wednesday against Italy's Flavio Cobolli.
I gotta change my number.
Serena Williams shared this video with the big news that apparently has her phone ringing non-stop. One of the greatest women's tennis players of all time is making a surprise comeback. She's coming out of retirement to play doubles at the Queen's Club tournament in London later this month. The 44-year-old hasn't played since 2022. Her doubles partner has not been officially announced yet, but reports suggest it will be Canada's very own Victoria Mboko. The FIFA World Cup matches kick off in Canada on June 12th, and a new report reveals the event's expected economic impact. Tourism-related spending could generate up to $5 billion, according to BMO Economics. Spending among residents is expected to add another $500 million to $1.5 billion. Those gains could lift Canada's quarterly GDP by about 1/10 of a percentage point. Speaking of soccer, up next, how Edmonton is playing a key role in developing Canada's next generation of talent. Her heart will go on, and so will her Paris performances. Celine Dion is adding 10 more dates to her comeback tour due to what organizers are calling unprecedented demand. The Quebec superstar will now perform a total of 26 shows starting this fall in the City of Lights. The additional dates will be available to registered fans who weren't able to secure tickets to the previously scheduled performances. Team Canada is warming up ahead of its first official World Cup match next week. The squad takes on Uzbekistan in a friendly match in Edmonton tonight, but they're now dealing with more injury woes. Midfielder Marcelo Flores, who was just named to the final roster, will now miss the tournament after injuring his knee on Saturday. The good news, the recovery of team captain Alphonso Davies is on track, though he won't play tonight because of his hamstring injury. Davies' hometown of Edmonton is emerging as a soccer hub. Despite being covered in snow 8 months of the year, more and more young players are embracing the beautiful game with big dreams of playing on the world stage. Heather Yourex-West reports.
For this Edmonton high schooler,
Hey, Arthur, Santiago, my name's Dauda.
nearly every night belongs to the beautiful game.
Open up, open up. Go, Santiago.
When he's not coaching the youngest players,
Good save.
Dauda Brima is chasing big dreams of his own.
2 hours and 3 training sessions per week. So then we have fitness on top of that.
What are your soccer dreams?
My soccer dream is to play at the big stage, play for the Canadian national team.
A lot of these kids probably university scholarships.
Konda Mansaray says that's why he created Edmonton's BTB Soccer Academy 13 years ago, to help local kids, often from families new to Canada, find a sense of community around a sport universally loved.
All of us want to have a purpose in life, and sometimes having that purpose when you're young, and when you have people that support you, people that want to see you succeed. We're a family, right?
Originally born in Syria, and I immigrated here when I was 5. I feel like it's the culture, to be honest. I feel like it's a soccer city.
Team Canada's Alphonso Davies is the most well-known product of Edmonton's soccer community, but a new generation is being nurtured here as well. And a local teenager is about to make his World Cup debut.
We have one of our players, Ryan Alumi, 18 years old, is about to make his debut for Tunisia.
He's one of us, and it's amazing how far he's come, and that inspires all of us.
A dual national, the 18-year-old Vancouver Whitecap player will be playing for Tunisia's national team.
I'm really excited for it. I feel like it's every footballer's dream. I feel like it's every young kid's dream to play in a World Cup, so to do it at 18 is such a blessing.
Alumi crediting his BTB coaches in Edmonton for a dream soon realized. Happy to now be inspiring others along the way. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Edmonton.
Team Canada looking good for future World Cups. That is Global National for this Monday. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is Waterton Park in Alberta. We love seeing your Canada, so please email your photos to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great night.